Meeting of the Mayor and Board of Aldermen for Tuesday, July the 6th. First thing that we'll do is adopt the agenda for the meeting. I have only one change. At number 28, we have request permission to approve the annual report for the Oxford Reserve and Trust Fund. We're going to move that up to the agenda and hear that at 20A. So that's the only change I have. Any department head have a change? Ashley, all right. Do we have a motion to accept the agenda?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Well, welcome to the first meeting of our new term. This board and I were honored to be sworn in last Thursday, and we are ready to get to work. It does not feel quite right not having Dr. Janice Antonow up here on the platform, but after 24 years of service, I am pretty sure she is not tuning in online. I want to welcome Brian Heineman, who is now serving as our new Alderman of Ward 3, and this board's not wasting any time. We met for 3 or 4 hours today with department heads starting our budgeting process that will take place over the next month. Since our last meeting, I was honored to get to visit with the new TVA Regional Vice President Mark Yates, who came to town and met with Rob Neely and with me, and got to thank them for the things that TVA does for our community and for their partnership. I was also excited to get to meet with our state auditor, Shad White. Now, everybody gets a little nervous when Shad White comes through the front doors of City Hall, but we had a great meeting, and we were glad to host him in Oxford. Also got to meet last week with the new superintendent of the Oxford City School District, Bradley Robertson, and was excited to hear about his plans for the future and how he is envisioning not leading a school system, but a school community. And I think that the partnerships that we discussed are going to be really exciting to see play out. The last day for walk-in vaccinations at the Oxford Conference Center location will be Thursday. They will open at 9, and Thursday will be the last day, and you can go. You don't have to have an appointment on Thursday, just walk in. After that period of time, of course, you'll be able to get vaccinations still at pharmacies, clinics, Walmart, Kroger, different locations around town, but the free vaccinations that are at the Oxford Conference Center, the last day will be Thursday. That is it for the mayor's report tonight. So I will ask you to authorize numerous appointments. This is what we do at the beginning of a new term, is ask the board to appoint these specific department heads. So I would ask you to authorize the appointment of the city clerk as required by Mississippi Code 21-3-3.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Authorize the appointment of the chief operating officer as required by Mississippi Code 21-325, and he wore a tie, so I think he's trying to seal the deal.
He's got his church clothes on.
So moved.
He said if he's getting fired in a tie. So, and if he gets fired, I'm leaving too. So it'll be a joint run for the door, let me be clear.
Bailey on my phone.
Oh, Bailey, are you on the phone? Okay, he's trying to get on the phone. I'm sorry, Jason Bailey is calling in for this meeting, and I totally forgot it, so.
I did too.
Thank you. Has he called in, Michael?
Not yet.
Okay. All right, we'll ask you to authorize the appointment of the police chief as required by Mississippi Code 21-3-3.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ask you to authorize the appointment of the fire marshal, fire chief, as required by Mississippi Code 21-25-1.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, I will ask you to authorize the appointment of the municipal court officers, including the municipal court clerk, as required by Mississippi Code 21-23-11, and the municipal judge and city prosecutor, both as required by Mississippi Code 21-3-3.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, I'll ask you to authorize the appointment of the city engineer.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I will ask you to authorize the appointment of all city department heads as required by Mississippi Code 21-35-17.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I'll ask you to authorize the reemployment of all current city employees.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I ask you to authorize the appointment of the city attorney.
So moved. Second.
All in favor? It was like I wore my tie too. All right, a motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? Authorize the appointment of the mayor pro tem.
Move we appoint Jason Bailey.
Wish he was on the phone.
I know, we were
He
hoping
was
he
on
was
the
gonna be
phone.
on the
We
phone
were
because we had a really good
on.
joke to play on him, sorry. Now how serious we are up here. A motion and a second to authorize Jason Bailey as the mayor pro tem. All in favor? Any opposed? Approval of official bonds is required by Mississippi Code 25-1-19. You're late, Bailey.
Too late.
Can we go back to that one, 13?
You there, Bailey?
I'm here finally.
Okay, well, we were just on number 13, where we were going to authorize the appointment of the mayor pro tem. Is there a motion to do that? Is there a motion to appoint the mayor pro tem? Going twice, going 3 times. Is there a motion to appoint the mayor pro tem?
Good Lord, come on.
Okay, sorry, we did that one a few minutes ago. I just couldn't resist. Okay, do we do the bonds? No, I lost
No,
them.
we haven't.
Approval of official bonds is required by Mississippi Code 25-1-19.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Authorize the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting on June 15th, 2021, and the special meeting on June 18th, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Authorize the approval of accounts for all city departments.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? All right, now I'll ask you to consider the consent agenda. It's a lengthy one this time. It's fun to see, though, all the... Oh, we didn't, because I talked about his tie? Well, look at the rule follower, his first meeting, and he's already given me directions over here. We did not vote on Bart, he says. That we had a motion and a second, and I did not call for a vote. And I am not kidding when I say if it doesn't pass, I'm going with him. Which maybe, shouldn't have said that. I should be on the other side, maybe then you. Okay, we had a motion and a second to authorize the appointment of the chief operating officer. All those in favor? Any opposed? Thank you, Jesus. All right. Consider the consent agenda now.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Request permission for 2 employees to attend the CTAA Small Urban Network Conference in Missoula, Montana on August the 11th through the 13th at an estimated cost of $3,329. Donna?
Yes, and it's 80% is what the grant will pay, so the city is only 10% of that. So it's me and my operations manager that will be going. A lot of the classes are very educational, talking about demand response, electric buses, and we get to visit some of their providers and see what they do. And so it seems like it would be very good information for us to bring back.
Sounds great.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you, Donna. Request permission for the mayor to sign a contract with Advanced Travel and Tourism for a 4-month marketing campaign for the Oxford Conference Center. Hayden?
This is a budgeted item, it's just over the amount. This is just for a digital campaign for the next 4 months, starting in August through November. All social media, blog, including ad development and content, all design. It's just kind of replacing some radio ads we've done in the past.
Move we approve.
Second.
All right, all in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. Announce vacancies on the Planning Commission, Courthouse Square Historic Preservation Commission, and the Historic Preservation Commission. We have people that will be rolling off of all three of these commissions whose terms expire. And if you're interested in serving in any of these roles, please email cityhall@oxfordms.net. We have received a lot of applications, and we are so excited that people are willing to serve in these ways. And so we're just going to announce it this last time, and then we will start doing some interviews in the coming weeks. I moved to number 28 up to 20A. So, Ashley, are you going to take that one to request permission to approve the annual report?
I think Ed Maxwell's here from
Okay.
Watkins Warren Stafford to go over that with you.
All right. Come on up, Ed.
Thank you all. So I have the presentation of our compilation report for the Municipal Reserve Trust there. And this is for the period ended March 31st, 2021. And at the end of the month, March 31st, the asset value of the trust was $39,630,997, which was a 17% increase from March 31st, 2020.
How about that?
Yep.
Huge.
The composition of the revenue.
All the media, I hope you're getting those numbers down. Please repeat them.
The trust value had increased from $33,819,000 in March 31st, 2020 to $39,630,000 in March 31st, 2021, which was a 17% increase
That is
in
huge.
asset value. So the trust for the year ended March 31st, 2021 generated $831,000 after taking into account expenses for the management and investment fees, attorney and accountant professional fees as well. The trust was composed of roughly 51% of fixed income securities, composed of bonds, corporate bonds, governmental bonds, and some mortgage-backed securities, and 49% equities at year end. The overall return on assets for the year, we calculated at 18.24%, which is a vast difference from last year's negative return of 0.5%. So all that to be said, for the period ending March 31st, 2021, the calculated distribution, the maximum distribution the city will be eligible for under the trust agreement is $1,188,930.
Which will be the largest we've ever had by a couple of $100,000.
It'll be the first time that it has been over $1 million, I think.
That's right.
Typically in the past, just to give you reference, the last year's distribution was $883,000, and the year prior was $887,000. So that shows a little reference.
And I'm not sure if this number's here, I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but my iPad was dead and I had it all here. So our total right now is $39,630,000.
So that'd be at March 31st, 2021. I do not have.
Yes, well, and that is with what being paid out to the city over the past.
Yes, the total distribution, let me turn back to that page. So the lifetime of the fund since inception in 2012, excuse me.
Yeah.
It has paid distributions total to the city of $6,812,000.
So we're sitting at 39 million with 6 million having been paid
Having already
out.
been paid.
So I think that's pretty amazing.
The original funding of the trust was $30 million, so you can see the appreciation there.
Yeah. That's awesome. Thank you so much.
So,
Okay, does anybody have any questions for Ed? Okay, then I would ask for your permission to approve the annual report.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? All right, thank you. All right, next we have request permission to contract with Michelle Harvey for grant writing services. We met with Michelle Harvey, who has written some grants for the university, for Yantapatawpha Arts Council and others. We don't have a specific project that we want to assign to her right away, but we want to have a grant writer on contract, as the past few grants that we have found. I know Ben Requette's thankful to see this on the agenda. We're due, 3 days from when you find out about it, and so we didn't have time to get a writer approved. And so thankfully, we had Ben Requette step in and drop everything else he was doing and write grants. So her fee is $150 an hour. She does not research grant opportunities, and so we're hoping maybe we can find an intern or somebody to help us with that. But could we have permission to contract with Michelle Harvey for grant writing services as needed?
Motion made.
So moved.
Thank you. All in favor? Any opposed? Consider the addition of an electric vehicle charging retail rate to Oxford Utilities resale rate schedule. Rob?
Yes, this item would allow Oxford Utilities to provide a retail rate for a third-party company who wishes to set up a charging station, an electric vehicle fast charging station, like in a gas station type setup, where you would have an island with electric vehicle chargers, and we would have a separate meter for that person because the demand is so high on these charging stations that we had to create TVA had to create a special rate to allow a retail customer to, I guess, take advantage of those services. So we would like to offer or have that retail rate option in case there is someone that comes into the city or the area that wants to provide fast charging for anyone passing through Oxford. We foresee electric vehicles on the rise in the near future, and we just want to be prepared.
Absolutely.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? All right, request permission for a sole source purchase from Central Service Association for a payment kiosk to be located at the Oxford Utilities Building.
Yes, we've got an island next to our drive-through window where we feel would be a great spot for a 24-hour payment kiosk. We've had it in the budget for a couple of years, waiting on the technology to be fully developed, and it finally is. We've gotten a price from CSA, our billing company, and then customer information system company to provide this kiosk. A third party, Howard Industries, builds the kiosk and sells it, but it's over $5,000. We can't buy it with two quotes, and so we don't feel we can, I guess, purchase this on the open market and get two quotes or two bids. So we need a system that works with our payment company, which would be this kiosk. So we need a sole source approval.
Okay.
Oops.
And an iPad.
That's right, and we'd
Not
like
on
to
the budget.
purchase one iPad at a cost of.
And the kiosk is in the budget. It comes in just under the budgeted amount.
All right, is there a motion?
Motion made.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, accept the official recapitulation of the municipal general election held on June 8th, 2021, as certified by the municipal election commissioners.
Yes, it's hard to believe it's been a month ago that we did that, but yes, this is
It
y'all's
is very
official,
hard to believe.
the official numbers for the election to be approved.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? All right, adopt a resolution designating Preston Taylor and John Morgan as the City of Oxford's voting delegate and first alternate respectively for the 2021 Mississippi Municipal League election.
Yes, this-
Mr. Taylor, are you willing? All right, John, are you willing to be the backup?
So moved.
Okay. Whew, it's a heavy load, and we really appreciate y'all carrying it. Okay, we-
can hang on.
a motion, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay. Request permission for the mayor to sign the U.S. Department of Treasury award terms and conditions form for the receipt of coronavirus local fiscal recovery funds. Ashley?
Yes, this is the first of two items. The next item is kind of the same. Two of the required pieces of documentation that we have to submit to get the fiscal recovery funds that the federal government has designated for us through the state of Mississippi. So I believe it's approximately $6 million, I think that we're,
0.3,
yeah, 0.3.
but who's counting?
But yeah, so these are just two of the things we have to submit when we get that ready.
Right. Do we have a motion?
Motion made to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Right, request permission for the mayor to sign the assurances of compliance with civil rights requirements form for the receipt of coronavirus local fiscal recovery funds.
Yep, same thing.
Another
One thing.
form.
Yep.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Request permission to accept a proposal from Ross Boatwright in the amount of $3,750 for the demolition of a structure located at 160 Vaughn Circle, PPIN 9180, and authorize the city clerk to add the expense to the 2021 tax roll.
Yes, this is a property that I believe a couple of meetings ago, y'all approved the code enforcement department to start demolition process on. They did complete that process and took proposals on the demolition of the house and the cleaning of the property. And I believe those are attached to the agenda, and this was the lowest.
Yeah, Ross
proposal.
Boat Rights comes in at $3,750, and this is a house that we've dealt with for many years, so.
Sounds like a great.
Remove
I
the
know.
approve. There's a
Thank
typo,
you.
there's a typo on his proposal. He's got
Yeah, I
it
believe his, the
601.
address,
The
he's
address.
transposed his numbers. Yep.
Besides that.
Just don't let him
That's
demo the wrong house.
I'll get Johnny to make sure that
Really
he's
off the
there.
rails tonight. All right, so there was a motion and a second, all in favor? Any opposed? Consider a request from the University of Mississippi as a revocable license for banners on the street lights along portions of University Avenue and Jackson Avenue. Ben Requette.
Thank you. You may remember a similar request from February of 2021. The university is requesting the ability to install, I guess it's a total of 32 banners, 16 along University Avenue, 16 along the south side of Jackson Avenue. On their portion of property. Jim Zook is here. He did provide a map, and it should be in your packet, that shows the locations of all of these poles. Additionally, he's provided an example of the banner and then a rendering as well, in addition to examples of similar marketing strategies that have been deployed by other universities where that town gown transition area takes place. In the last request that came before here, there was concern about the timetable because there was not a timeline for which the university was going to remove those poles. The Land Development Code does regulate banners on utility poles, and it actually stipulates that not for a term of greater than 90 days. The university, they have concerns with the expense of putting in the banners and the things like that, and so we've met with them, and they're asking that term just be like an auto-renewing revocable license so it can continue on. And then we did suggest that we would provide a condition of approval that we would provide the university with 30 days notice of having to remove the banners from the poles should we choose to use that revocation of that license. The Land Development Code does regulate those banners, as I said, and it does have a sizing limitation of 8 square feet. And I think at the time that was written, it was I think that size was actually more for poles in the historic district, because that's typically where we have seen those banners in the past. So we've been talking with city attorneys about actually revisiting that and that provision of code, especially when you look at 8 square feet and the proportionality of some of those poles along Jackson Avenue. Should that ever come up, it is very small. It looks appropriate on those ornamental poles, but not on a much larger pole. So I know the university is here. Should you have any questions, I think they brought an example of the banner, even the arm. They would propose mounting those poles or the banners onto the poles, and there are no utilities, no electrical lines on that. So.
I'm Jim Zoka, lead marketing communications for the university. And this is an example of one of the banners that we have up now. What was provided to you was a mock-up of what we'd like to do along University Avenue. So as Ben mentioned, those poles are much shorter than the ones on Jackson Avenue. So this is the 8 square foot banner, and there's for the taller poles, we were looking at one that's proportionally larger. So that was the size out at 16 square feet, so 2 feet wide, 8 feet long. So be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Zook or for Ben? Any discussion?
So the ones that you're right, the ones right there are going where?
This would be on University Avenue.
On University, but the ones on Jackson, you're asking for larger ones.
Larger.
Because the poles are
Because of-
taller.
That's
Right, I
right.
know, but do we need if that's larger than the ordinance?
Well, I think should you choose to grant this, we're planning to go back and revise the Land Development Code to reflect, actually not be specific, to provide for some flexibility should a request come back in the future. It's not set at 8 square feet. It could be, consistent with our signage ordinance, where it just says, a sign of, this size, or keep it to duration, size, location, things like that. Just try and provide guidance, but not the specifics on that, so that way you can entertain those requests, since it's.
So because it's a revocable license, we can go outside the land development code without a variance?
That's kind of what I was trying to say, is are they asking for a variance, is what I was asking.
I think that, in a way they are, but I think that we'll also go back and we're gonna rewrite that provision of that ordinance in the way it reflects it.
John, we've had this exact same discussion you're asking about. The problem is the timing problem. If they
need it before, I know,
first
yeah.
reading, public hearing, and vote tonight on an ordinance, the way we envision it would be to change the ordinance to allow a variance, maybe keep the size you've got, but to allow a variance to be approved by the planning department if they make findings regarding proportionality, height of the poles, size, that a larger size, no larger than such and such would be appropriate. They still would have to recommend it to you for approval. But frankly, we couldn't get the change before you reading, hearing, in time for them to get those up for the school year. And so that's where you are. I don't have a good answer to your question, but you're asking the right question.
So this sign is 8, is that correct?
2 by 4. Yeah.
2 by 4.
So this one is 18 by 48 inches. Okay. And then the one that we're talking about for Jackson Avenue would be 24 by 96.
But you're putting one on each side of the pole.
That's right.
So is that a problem? I mean, I know where we're at on the 8 square feet, but now we're actually.
No, it would regulate that one specific banner, so they would have them on each side of the pole, so each banner would be regulated to that.
So, Paul, if I'm fine with this, or everybody else is, do I just need to, make a motion to grant a variance? Well, that's my point.
Yeah, I think you did, to grant a variance from the ordinance to allow the increased size. And frankly, all they're asking, I think they understand that 90 days applies, but they're asking that it be automatically renewable, so they're not here before you every 90 days. And if we're going to cancel it for whatever reason, that they get 30 days head start.
Okay.
When it renews, does it renew for another 90 days, or after
Correct.
the original 90 days, can we just give them 30 days notice?
It would renew, I think, for the 90 days.
But at any point within that, we can give them 30 days notice to revoke.
Yeah, Brian, I think Mark's answer is the way I would see it. You can give them 30 days after their 90 days.
Sure.
But I do think they're sort of here with the understanding that that's not gonna happen if they're gonna.
Right, if they're gonna go to the expense of,
Right.
yeah.
I'm good with it.
I am too.
I'll make a motion to approve with the variance needed for this revocable license.
Second.
All right, a motion and second, all in favor? Any opposed? All right, thank you. Request permission to approve a policy change for the Oxford Fire Department regarding EMT training and pay. Chief?
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon. So when someone goes and gets their EMT license, we give them a 3% raise. Right now, we pay for the class up front, but we ran into the issue of someone, dropping out the class or failing the class, and then the city just being out that money. So what we're asking to do is, basically give them the option. If we pay for the class up front, and they fail the class, drop out of the class, or fail the national registry, and they will be responsible to reimburse the city for that money. Or they can pay for the class themselves, and if they fail, drop out, it's not a big deal. But they'll still get, once they get their national registry, they'll get their 3% pay raise.
Okay,
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
all right. Any other questions or comments?
Aye.
All in favor? Any opposed? All right. The next is to request permission to block traffic along North Lamar and around the square for an Olympic send-off parade on Friday, July 16th at 5:30 p.m. I am so silly excited about this. We have 2 Olympians that are Oxford residents, Shelby McEwen and Sam Kendricks, and I've spoken with them to coordinate a time before they both leave. I think that Shelby leaves the next day and maybe Sam 2 days later for the Olympics. I've invited all of the Oxford High School and Lafayette High School bands, cheer, dance teams, junior ROTC, all of those groups to participate, and we will have our 2 Olympians in convertibles or Jeeps or something. Haven't gotten that far yet. But this will be, we're gonna encourage people to line North Lamar and around the square with flags and make posters, and we are gonna use the hashtag Jump Oxford Jump. And since we've got 2 jumpers, and so we need permission to close that area. And you know what we didn't put on here, Jeff, is closing 14th so that we could line the parade up. We didn't put that because I didn't put it. That's on me.
We can handle that.
Let me be clear, that was me, not you, but that's the one thing that we talked about that I didn't ever follow back up on, is that we'll need to have 14th Street for them to line up on.
Yeah.
Does that work?
No problem.
Okay, do we have a motion to allow traffic to be blocked for a little bit so we can celebrate?
So moved.
So moved.
All right, all in favor? Any opposed? It's gonna be a lot of fun. Request permission to accept and authorize the mayor to sign an MOU between Turnkey Mobile and the Oxford Police Department to have the NCIC hot list plug-in added to the existing license plate reader system on the parking enforcement Jeep. Chief?
Mayor, this is a company that the city and Matt already contract with. All this does is the existing equipment that is on there will now link up with our mobile NCIC. So if you have missing persons, if you have Amber Alerts, stolen vehicles, Matt's vehicle will be able to register those automatically.
Right.
Dispatch will get an alert. The only fee in there is if there's any type of service that we have to do initially to get it set up. But we've talked to the company, it's maybe an hour, 2 hours max, and we'll have our software up and running, it'll be live.
All right, anybody have any questions?
With approval or changes by council, there's a thing or two in that.
Yes, sir.
I make a motion with what Pope said.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Request permission to apply for a National Highway Traffic Safety Administration grant for the Oxford Police Department with no required match, our favorite kind.
So the DUI grant and the seatbelt grant, our training grant that we already do, the state, the national side of this is pushing down to Mississippi an opportunity to become phlebotomist, which is our blood draws that we're already doing that we budget $15,000 for.
Right.
We want to be the agency that heads this program up. We're already doing DUIs and training, so it just feels right for us to also run point on this.
Absolutely.
Essentially, this will be just for the Oxford Police Department. We'll be the pilot agency if we're awarded the grant. So it'd be $40,000. We would train 4 to 5 of our staff members, and then we could get out of having a contract with someone else. We pay $75 a pop every time we do a blood draw.
That's great.
Motion made.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you, Chief. Request permission to accept a donation in the amount of $50 from Mary Douglas Vance in honor of Lynn Wells for the benefit of the Animal Resource Center. Welcome, Nicole.
Hello.
Hi there. Does anybody have any questions about this donation?
Move accept.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? All right, request permission to accept a donation of various supplies. You have a list before you for the Animal Resource Center.
Motion made to accept.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? All right, we'll now have our first reading. It says public hearing and vote, but we just advertised it that way. This will probably be lots of first read, second, third, 10th readings. On a proposed ordinance amending Chapter 18, Section 18-45 regarding operation of the city animal shelter and multiple sections within the same chapter. So I'm gonna turn this over to Bart and let him kind of go through, and then and Nicole add in.
All right, so you've got a copy of this ordinance in your board pack, and I'll just go through the changes, and when we get to some of the long ones, I may not even read them word for word. Stop us if you have any questions. I'm just reading. Nicole can help answer the questions. Obviously, we're going to define the animal shelter as a Oxford Animal Resource Center. Then if you go on to under section 18-2, number 12, What we're saying is it's unlawful for anyone to, cage, stores an animal on the side of the road with the intent to sell, exchange, trade, or barter, lease, or rent, and it goes through and defines what those are. Again, stop me if you have any questions.
So that means nobody can be selling puppies on the side of the road.
Correct, correct.
Or set up on the square with a box of kittens.
Right.
But it does allow, it doesn't apply to the city animal shelter or nonprofit organization if we have a pet show of some sort, or
We could have
walk your mutt
days,
and
yeah,
be
things like
adopted,
that.
whatever,
We
okay?
have a booth at Double Decker as just an example.
Right, okay?
Number 12 is just renumbered to number 13 in that same section. Then if we get down to section 18-8, under C, this changes the language into the rabies hold, and it just adds, the 10 days rabies hold on there for observation. Then under section 1810, under A, we just scratch the chemical capture weapons. Then the Animal Resource Center under Article 2, 18-45, it sets our business hours, says we'll be in uniforms. It is illegal to interfere with an officer with our animal resource officer. It also lays out adoption of animals and how the shelter can adopt, or the resource center can adopt those animals. Under 18-48, you'll see that a large section is struck, but we go on to define what happens with first, second, and third offenses of impoundment. If we pick up a dog that is that doesn't follow the leash law, and it talks about what those fines are for the first, second, and third offense.
And we've had several that we've picked up the same dog 4 or 5 times in the first
I've already,
week.
since I got here, have had same dogs come in 2 times, so.
And it's a graduated scale. Obviously, it increases on every offense, and then we also will be able to charge, if this is approved, we'll also be able to charge for housing that animal for the number of nights that it's at the shelter. It also defines the sterilization of animal at the shelter if the animal is being reclaimed, what it is if that animal chooses to remain intact. If I say something wrong, Nicole.
You're good.
Okay. Under section 18-49, it further talks about the fertile animals and the intact animals and what those exceptions are, what exceptions are allowed. Then we get into the licensing and the application portion. Our current ordinance requires dogs to be licensed. However, embarrassingly, I'll tell you that's something that never has been enforced, or to my knowledge, it never has been enforced. Those licenses, as you can see, the fees were $1. We're asking to increase those to $2, and our intent.
That's what they can make off it. So basically, this is to create sort of a revenue stream for the shelter. So all city dog licenses will come through me. And they will be registered to the owner through the pet clinic. The clinic will then pay for the tag to the city, and they are allowed to charge an additional $2 as a handling fee through them. So it makes sure that the documentation is being handled correctly and creating a revenue stream for the Animal Resource Center.
And as you'll see, those fees that are included are no change. That's the fees that are currently in our ordinance, the 5, 15, and 15. Mm-hmm. Same thing for the vaccination tags. The clinics are allowed to get $2, and then again, the licensing fees. Under section 1878.
Are those fees a per year fee?
They are they are a per year fee.
I was trying to read it. I see the per year.
From my memory.
I see the per year for that, but I didn't see the actual, they collect a $2 annual fee, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So those, when you bring your dog, cat in, like I have one do for annual vaccinations, that would be something that the vet clinic would basically just add when they do their annual vaccines. They would do the licensing and
like I don't understand though, like a female dog spayed gets $5 a year, but they only get spayed once.
Right, but they get a rabies vaccine every year, and if your rabies is not current and they're out, that's technically illegal.
But you have to, but you charge them another $5 per year for the spay?
No,
No.
for the rabies tag.
For the
But-
licensing with the dog with the city of Oxford.
Yeah,
we pay another
John,
$5
dogs
per
that are spayed are cheaper than dogs that are not spayed.
Yes.
That's we're hoping to encourage people to spay and neuter.
And that's no change, that's currently in our ordinance now,
But they're just not doing it.
We just,
Right.
we just don't enforce it, but we're going to.
Well, and
Make
this
it
will
ready.
allow Nicole to work with the clinics to set this up, just like you currently do your rabies, if you have animals, just like you currently do your rabies vaccination. You're paying a license fee for that rabies vaccination as part of that vaccination. When you get your tag, this will allow and maybe even require to set them up in the system where they're actually not only giving you a rabies tag, they're giving you a dog license, but you're paying an extra $5 or $15 for, and they're charging you $2 to register that with the city.
So I currently know a lot of people who go to a veterinarian in Water Valley. So that I guess they won't be part of it, or will they?
Well, we will not be able to exempt them from the requirement of the ordinance. Now, whether or not that.
And the ordinance just says that all dogs must have a license. So as long as it is a legal current license, you know, my dogs are currently licensed through Memphis, and until that expires, that's legal. But if they do get a vaccine from one of the 6 clinics that is in the city, then it would have to be registered through the Animal Resource Center.
Okay.
Again, there's, what was that, it's 1878, and it talks about the impoundment, pounding of a dog, and it sets forth, it raises the fee of it from $10 to $80. And then it, under 2 there, it allows us to charge a $20 per day boarding fee. Now, the dangerous or vicious dog or animal ordinance, this is a whole new section, and it goes through and it defines all of it. I'll read it. You tell me what your pleasure is. I'll read it word for word, or we'll talk in generalities, however you want to do it.
Up to y'all. I mean, we've had it, so I think generalities is fine unless somebody wants him to.
I guess my just overall question, how is this different, or is this inserted into the one that we approved last year?
I don't know
the
the answer
vicious
to that.
dog ordinance last year. I mean, is this in addition to, or is this taking that and?
So dangerous vicious is this section is in addition to the ordinances that are already there. So a bite dog is not necessarily the same as a dog that's considered a dangerous and vicious animal.
Nicole, I think what Alderman Halsey's talking about is we approved a vicious dog ordinance last year, and it may not show up on our muni code yet, and that may be why we missed that. I do remember,
I mean, we went
drafted on it.
through that a lot, and I don't want to recreate what we've already passed. I mean, this either ought to reference that or replace it, or that ought to be picked up and inserted in
I
here.
even had meetings with the judge about how, when the dog is determined vicious, so I know that's there. We just need to pull it and find out.
I assume this is just codifying the actual ordinance that was passed previously, but maybe not.
It's not. This is different language than it was passed previously.
Well, let's
I was
compare
told big
those
words
two.
like codifying would not be used.
You've got Google on your. No, I think as this is a first reading, we'll be having a second reading. If y'all will compare those two between now and the next meeting, then we will cover those, that part, once those have been compared. All right, are there any questions from the board for Nicole or Bart? No? Okay, then we will have a second reading at our next meeting. All right, consider a proposal from Valbridge Property Advisors for a market rent estimate for city property. Mark Levy.
All right, I'm requesting approval of this proposal from Valbridge to provide a market rent estimate for city right-of-way in the downtown area. In February, this board previously approved a market rent study from Wilson Valuation, and as you know, we are required to have the average of 2 appraisals in order to establish a floor value in the licensing of spaces for private businesses. If approved, the report will be completed by July 15th, so the board can discuss the license amount at a future work session.
Yep.
And the total price is $2,750.
All right, do we have a motion to accept this proposal from Valbridge Property Advisors?
So move.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? All right, consider change order number 3 for Oxford Fire Station number 2 in the amount of $2,686. Mark.
Second item is a change order for Fire Station number 2 for a few minor items resulting in a cost increase of $2,686. And we feel like these items will save money in the long run by allowing for better connectivity and decreased monthly bills. The total project is under budget right now, currently at $13,417. If this is approved, it will still be under budget by $10,731. We expect to reach substantial completion Fire Station number 2 by the end of July or the beginning of August. Any questions?
Second.
All right, any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, thank you. Request permission to advertise for bids for annual materials and supplies. Rihanna?
Hi, yes, we just want to advertise for our annual bids. This is our materials that we use every day, that we use it so much that we would exceed our quote amount of $5,000. So we just like to have those bids every year on record. So our asphalt, our pipe, we work with water and sewer to get those materials, and any other department that also would like to add items will take care of those annual bids if they'd like.
All right, any questions? Is there a motion?
So move.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Consider an updated MOU with Congressman Trent Kelly's office for the use of space in City Hall. Are there any questions on that? Any comments?
Move we approve.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, consider the TIF plan and resolution adopting the TIF plan for Oxford Farms. Bart?
The last meeting, you had a public hearing about the TIF plan and the resolution, and if you remember, there was a discrepancy on page 8 of the actual TIF plan as it related to the projected true value, and I think they had a number of $80,000. All their documentation and supporting information showed that to be $154,058,452. That is corrected now in this version, and I'll try to take any questions that you may have. Also, Christiana with Gerson Associates is here to help answer any questions.
And this is just the process of, this is just the first step.
This is the TIF plan. So the next step of what I would prefer the next step to be is enter into an interlocal with the Lafayette County that set forth what their contribution to any TIF bonds would be, and then come back to you with an interlocal and a development reimbursement agreement, which sets forth how what will exactly have to be done and how it will be paid for. And what it funds, how much the total funding is. Yeah, well, and that would have the total funding. This has an amount in it, and that is a not to exceed amount. I think it's 5.4 million, if I remember correctly.
But how we done, especially the one on North Lamar, is we had a not to exceed amount, and then we came back and said, okay, this is exactly right. This is the amount of money that we will approve, and it can be used for A, B, or C, et cetera.
And you can adjust that amount all the way to the signing of the development reimbursement agreement.
Okay. I'm good to move forward with this. I'll make the motion.
You look like you're, okay.
Just for my purposes, it needs to be amended section 9 just to include me instead of Dr. Ant. I mean,
absolutely.
Just
She wants to be included also, she's in her district, she's been yelling for this for a long time.
That's right, she has.
And that's in the resolution. So.
That ain't the first time you're gonna be saying that.
You mean the last?
The last, I mean.
All right, are there any other questions, comments?
The only comment I have is, because Alderman Anthony and I want to make sure that the connection to Shiloh is still in there.
And we will. I've already talked with the developer.
At the next stage, when we start.
That'll be in the development reimbursement agreement, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, so is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? All right, I would ask the board now to consider an executive session.
Move we consider executive session.
All in favor? Any opposed? The board will now consider executive session.